Hey guys, in this video we are going to use the Place Autocomplete service, which is part of Google Places API web service. What this does is as you type in a location, it will give you suggestions based on your input. You need to log into your console. Under library, you need to go under Google Maps API and click on Google Places API for Android or iOS based on your development platform. Once you click this, you can go ahead and enable it. I have already enabled mine. Once you have enabled it, you can now use Google Places API in your application. So in order for us to use Google Places autocomplete service in our application, we will need to install a package called React Native Google Places. The package gives us iOS and Android Google Places widgets and autocomplete or place picker or API services for React Native apps. You can go ahead and check out this repo. I'll leave the link in the description box for you. So for installation instructions, just scroll down and we're going to copy this and paste it in our terminal. We're also going to do the same thing we did for native base. We're going to run React Native link. So paste this here. Okay, like I said before, you need to enable your Google Places API. So to do that, just go to the console and enable it there for Android or iOS, depending on the platform you are using. So after that, we'll need to install Google Places and Google Place Picker. So we just need to copy this and paste it in our pod file. I need to paste it up here. I already have Google Maps, so I'm going to remove this. Save. And I'm going to cd into iOS and run pod install. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to open our iOS WordPress project in Xcode and add GMS Places client. Just go here. So I opened it before, so I'm just going to open this. So it says here we have to paste it. First of all we have to import Google Places. Okay, and import Google Maps. We have imported Google Maps already, so I'm just going to paste Google Places. Paste Google Places here. Then I need to copy Google Places client and paste it here. And I'm using this same API key. Okay, we are all set up. So now we can go ahead and start coding. So the next thing we want to do is to create a search results component. So what this will do, it will display the Google Places autocomplete text as we type. That we're going to create a new component inside the home route. So I'm just gonna create a new folder here called search results, and inside this folder I'll create two files. One is the index, which will be the component, and the other one will be search results styles. So inside the search results, I'm just going to create a normal component. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Search results. I'm going to copy the name of the style sheet. Paste it here. This is search results. Just going to return an empty view for now. Okay. So I'm not going to waste too much time on styling. I've already created some styles for this component, so I'm just going to copy them from here and paste them here and save. I made a typo here. And here also I need to rename this search results. Okay, so the folder is okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to import the list and the list item from native base. I'm just gonna type in list item, close this. The list item will be wrapped inside a list. We'll just put some text here. This is list 1. And this is list item 2. Save, and I'm just going to give my view some styling. Style is equals to styles dot take the search results wrapper. Save. And now I need to import this component inside my map container. So to do that, I'm just going to now I need to import this component inside my map container. So to do that, I'm just going to go inside my map container and copy this. And I'm going to change this to search results. I'll just paste it just under the search box and save. So now we have a search item showing up here. I just need to push it down a little bit. Okay, so we have our list item here. So the next thing we want to do is we want to change this list item to a button so it can accept presses. And it's an avatar. So inside the list item on the left, is another component from native base. I need to put an icon inside this list item on the left side. This will be left container. And I'll put some styling for the left icon. And the name of this icon is location. And since we have installed React Native vector icons, I'm going to take this from material instead of font awesome. Save this. Oh, it's styles, sorry. So now we have an icon and text. So now that our search results component is somewhat ready, we want to go ahead and get the user's input, which will be used by Google Places API to suggest addresses or locations. So first of all, we need to create an action called get input data. To do that, we're going to go inside our home modules. And I'm going to create an action called get input. Just going to copy this action constant and paste it here. So now I need to create an action. To this, I'm just going to export function. gonna call it get input data. And it will take in a payload. I'm going to return type get input and our payload. Now we need to create a handler for this action, and I'm just gonna call it handle get input data. Let me just copy this, paste it here, just change it to handle get input data. Everything will be the same, but I have to remove this part. I'm gonna create a constant key value, which I'm taking from the payload. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return an input data. I'm just going to store the user's input inside this. Key. I'm going to set the value. Okay, we are all set. But one more thing we need to do, we need to initialize this as an empty object. Then obviously we need to export it. State.home input data, which could also be empty. Supposed to be get input data. And you need to assign your action handler also here. And save. So now we have our action ready. We can now go ahead and call this action inside our component. So to do that, we need to go inside our search box. Inside our search box component. So what I need to do is to pass in this get input data function. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Get input data and paste it here. So inside here I'll create a function called handle input. You should take in a key and a value from the input, and then I'll pass it to the get input function as an object. And value, which will be equal to val. So now when a user starts typing in this text box, I need to get their input. So I'll do that on change text. On change text, I'll call my function and I'll bind this pickup, and I have to do the same for the drop off. Save this. Now I need to pass this as props to the search box. I'm calling the search box inside the map container, so which means I need this function also here, which I'm going to pass down to the search box. And I'll also need it in my home route. I need to pass it inside the map container. So it will be equal to this dot props dot get input data. Okay, everything looks okay, so let's test it out. So if I type something here, I should be able to get this input. Inside my console, you can see I'm getting the input. This is my payload. So the next thing we want to do is to create a function to toggle the search result. You see right now it's just open by default, we can't close it. And we don't know whether we are typing input for pickup or for drop off. So let's create a function called toggle search result model. I'm just going to do the same thing I did here. Just gonna comment this toggle search result model is this. We have to create an action called toggle search result. Okay, just rename this toggle So the next thing I need to do, I need to create a handler for this action. I'm just going to copy what I have here right now, paste it here, handle toggle search result. When someone presses the input box, I'm going to bind in a flag, so which will tell me whether the person pressed in the pickup or pressed in the drop-off input box. So using that flag, I'll determine what type of search results are being shown. Are they for pickup or are they for drop-off? So I will have a payload. So I'll say if action dot payload is equal to pick up, I'm going to return update stats, and I'll create also a key called results types. This will be an object which will hold pickup. In this case, I'll set it to true. And drop off will be false. So when the user clicks on the pickup box, on the pickup input box, I'm going to set the result type to be true for pickup and for drop off to be false. You'll see later on why we need this. So after doing this, I'm just going to do the same thing for drop off. Action payload is equal to drop off. I'm going to set the pickup to false and the drop off to true. And that's it. And I'll also need to map this to my props inside my home container. Stat dot home dot result types, which will be an object. And I'm just going to initialize it as an empty object here. And I also need to make sure my components know that this function exists. To do that, I have to pass it here. It's supposed to be camel case search model. Okay, so now we need that function inside here, so we're going to pass it through props the same way we did for the get input data. Just going to pass through this through props. We can actually fix this so it's more readable. I'll just place it like this. This will be equal to this dot props dot toggle search result model. Now, in order for me to use this function inside the search results, I'm going to call it when the user presses or the input box is on focus. So I'll just write on focus. I'm going to call our function. And inside this, I'm going to bind pickup because this is the pickup input box. And I'll do the same for the drop off. Okay, so let's test it out. But before we do that, I need to copy this and paste it inside my action constants. Okay, let's test if it's working. Refresh this. Toggle search result model is not defined. Okay, I passed it through here. Oh, I need to pass it also here. Okay. So now if I press here and I go to my console, you can see toggle search results. And my payload is pickup. And if I go and click on this, toggle search results, and my payload this time is drop off. So the next thing I want to do is to get the address suggested by Google Places. And to do that, we'll need to create a function to get the address predictions. So before we do that, we need to import React Native Google Places. So on top, I'll just import React Native Google Places from React Native Google Places. Okay, so after we do this, we need to create a function called get address suggestions or get address predictions, whatever you want to call it. Let me just format this so it's easily readable. I'm just going to call this get address predictions. get addresses, from Google Place. I'm just gonna write a function here, export function. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to return dispatch store. This will be an arrow function, and inside here I'll just get my input from the user's input. So I'll say let the user input equals to so now I'm going to use those conditions I created before when I was toggling the search model. So if store dot home dot results type dot pickup. So if this is the result type, then I'm going to take my input from store dot home dot input data dot pickup. Otherwise I'll just take it from Dropoff. Okay, so React Native Google Places as a function which we can pass our input to. So I'll just say React Native Google Places dot get autocomplete predictions, and I'll pass in our user input that we declared here. It also has an awesome feature which allows us to restrict our results by country. So I'll just pass in the country. In my case, I'm going to restrict it to Malaysia. You use your country code. So I'm just going to say country, and the country code is MY. And then I'm going to return a promise with the results. And then I'll dispatch my read section as usual. So the type will be get address predictions, and the payload will be my results. And we'll just handle the error here. Okay, we are done. So the next thing we need to do, we need to create a handler for this. So I'm just going to call the handler handle get input, or handle get address predictions. Function handle get address predictions. And I have my stat and action. I'm going to return update stat. So I'll have an object called predictions. This is where I'll pass all the results which are coming from Google. I'm going to set this to action.payload. And one more thing I need to do, when the user clicks on either one of these, on pickup of on drop off input boxes, I need to clear this predictions object. I need to set it to null. So I'm just gonna do that here. So predictions, I'm just going to set it to an empty object. And I'll do the same here. So now we need to map this to our props. Stat.home. And I also need to let my components know that this action exists. Okay, so when am I going to call this function? I'm going to call this function every time the user starts typing in the input box. Every time the input box is on focus. So I'll just copy this and pass it to my search box. Need to pass it as props, the same way we've been doing. And I also need to make this more readable, so I'm going to do it like this. And I'm also going to pass it on the home component. This dot props dot get address predictions. Okay, so now let's test. Okay, so we have an error on line 13 in home.js. Okay, I left a comma here. And I also need to put this inside my action constants. So I'm going to refresh. So if I start typing here, if I say KLCC, I don't see the results yet here because I haven't mapped the array. But if I go into my console, oh, it's not calling my action. Oh, okay, so autocomplete predictions, this C should be a small letter. And here the predictions is not supposed to be inside, it's supposed to be outside this object. It's an object which stands on its own. Same here. And another thing, we didn't set the handler for this. We didn't map it to the action. So we just need to add toggle search result, and I'm going to map it to the action. So I also want to toggle the search results model based on this result type. So inside my map container, I'm just going to put a condition here. Just going to put a condition result types dot pick up. So if the results types is pickup, we will show the results model, or if the results types is drop off, I'm just going to wrap this inside some brackets, and I'm getting this from props. So which means I need to pass it here. This dot props dot result types and save. So now if I come here and refresh, you can see we don't have the search result model anymore, but if I click here, it comes up. So it's not coming up on pickup, so I think we have an error there. Let me check that out. Oh, it's pick up with a small error. Refresh. Click this, now it comes out. So if I type something here like KLCC, I don't see the results here because I haven't mapped the array yet. But if I go to my console and I check this, my action is being called get predictions, and you can see I have a payload which is an array of suggested results from Google Places. So we want to map through this and show it on our list here. So to do that, I'm just going to take our predictions object, and we're exporting it already here. It should be an empty array because it's an array of objects. And I'll also pass it as props here. Predictions is equals to this dot props dot predictions. Save, then I need to pass it to the map container inside here. Save, and I'll pass it also to my search results. Set my search results, only the predictions. So I'm going to change the layout here for my list. So the list item itself can accept an array. So instead of closing it like this, I'll make it a self-closing item like this. So everything is wrapped inside. And I'll have a data array. This is from native base, which will be equal to the predictions. Then I will render row, which is equal to an arrow function. Pass in the item. So in our arrow function, I'm going to create a view. And our list is going to come inside this view. So I'm just going to copy what we have here. The list item, close it. And we don't need this anymore. So inside my list item, I'll also need a body. This body tag comes also from, it's a component from native base. And in here I'll have my text. So what I want to display from is the primary text and the secondary text from the object we are getting from Google Maps. So I'm going to say style is equals to, I've already created the styles, so I'm just going to say styles dot primary text. You can style this any way you want. Take my secondary text. And I'm going to take an item which is primary text. I'm going to take the secondary text also from the item. Oh, and this is supposed to be like this. Just close this. I'm going to save, and I hope it works. Fresh. So we have an error, unexpected token on line 27. So now if I come here and type klcc, let me just check my console. I'm getting my predictions. Oh, it's not setting my predictions here. I left something out here. So I'm getting the results here to get address predictions, but I didn't map it here. So I need to map this. Get address predictions. I'm going to map it to our action handler and save. Refresh. Type. As you can see now, we are getting the search results. Okay guys, that's it for this video. So in the next video we are going to work with a database, so the user will be able to click on a booking button and our app will be able to store the user's booking details in the database. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.